This is The Sound of Small Business, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. I'm JP Davidson, and these are the inspiring stories and hard-earned lessons of successful Canadian entrepreneurs. The RBC Small Biz Panel Series features business owners and experts sharing their experiences and providing advice to entrepreneurs across Canada. In this episode, we'll discuss how to plan for success when you're starting out. Our panel will give you their take on avoiding common pitfalls right out of the gate, how to differentiate your business from the competition, and the importance of mentors and networking. We'll be hearing from Vishal Patel, founder of Mama's Burritos, Nikki Pett, owner of Sigma Promotions, a marketing company that specializes in the strategic use of promotional items, and Prince Khan, small business consultant at the Brampton Entrepreneur Centre. To start, here's panel moderator and Vice President of Small Business at RBC, Sarah Adams.
What a great panel. I think we're going to have some great dialogue today. So many of us have a great idea or concept, but where do we start? So are there any big do's or don'ts when you're starting? Anything that kind of comes to mind?
Don't be afraid to ask people for a deposit. That was something that it was an issue with myself that I knew I had to work out was I'm worthy of asking for deposit, especially in the business I'm in. Once it's got your logo on it, there's no turning back, right? Yeah. So getting that cash flow in and getting a deposit.
Great. Vishal, do's and don'ts, anything you would have done differently? You started with a franchise.
Yeah, so just get some experience in the field which you are getting into, right? Even though you have passion for doing something, at least get some kind of experience so that you know what kind of world it is when you enter it. Because if you don't know what kind of world it is in and you enter it, then you're going to get lost. You're going to say, what am I going to do here? You're going to start scratching your head after a couple of months and you don't know what to do.
Yes.
So at least get some kind of experience in the sim related field.
That's great
and
advice.
Then start off on your own. That's what I would tell people.
So Prince, there were a lot of questions around personal business. Do I separate the two? So what is your recommendation on that?
I would personally recommend getting a personal account as well as a business account. Because what happens is if you have a personal account for your business and you do all your transactions through that account, the worst case scenario, you're going to have to audit the entire month. So it's going to take hours and hours to do that.
Yeah.
Do you really want to be spending time on doing that or spending maybe $5 to $20 on getting a business bank account?
Yeah.
So what I would recommend is separate the two, make sure they're very clean cut and people know exactly what you're spending on your business and what you're spending on your personal expenses.
And it starts to give you a clear line of sight in terms of like really how you're doing.
Exactly.
So that you're not sort of thinking, oh, everything's okay. And the reality is you're really draining yourself personally.
Exactly. Like it comes down to the cash flow, right?
Yeah.
You don't understand your cash flow. You're getting money in, you're spending money, but then you don't really know how much money is going towards your business, what's your personal. So it really confuses things. So separate it as soon as possible.
Great advice. So Prince, when you have individuals come in, and I'm sure you see a lot of people every day,
Yep.
What are sort of the top questions that they come in with?
We get generally the question of how do we start? Like what is the process of starting? Another question we usually get is where do we get financing? And another question would be how do I market my business or how do I go about, selling myself, right? So these are all general questions that we do answer for them. We can actually help them with the registration portion of it as well. A lot of the small business enterprise centers do that for you, free of charge. So you don't have to go to an outside organization to do it.
Those are great tips.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when you think of differentiation, how do you differentiate yourself? How do you know what you're going to do is going to be successful in the marketplace and more than the one next door?
So what I personally do is we walk into our competitors' doors regularly and we check out what exactly they're offering. Is there any changes? Is there any changes in the pricing? Any deals they're offering? The way they're operating? So those are key things which we look for. And we look for their weaknesses and we look for their mistakes which they are making so that we don't do the same kind of mistakes. At times, we also talk with the customers of our competitors and ask them that what do they feel that what's good about that business and what's not good about their business. And that way we can evaluate it and we can apply in our business so that, we are successful. We are better than the competitor.
Excellent. And Nikki, how about for you?
Yeah, I would say the strategy side for sure. So we're a very commodity-based industry. You can get a mug and haggle on different pricing and that sort of thing. But there's that real strategic element to, okay, so you're going into a trade show. and you have a $5,000 budget or whatever the case may be, you have a $500 budget, let's not spend it all on one product and give everybody who comes through something free. Let's think about, what's the ideal situation? Is it to book demos? Is it to get a meeting? And then we help them kind of determine, yes, definitely use a tangible branded item. We're big believers in that, obviously, for the residual marketing effect. But let's be a little more thoughtful. So let's have an item that's for those people that maybe have to take something when they come by a booth. And then let's have something that costs a little bit more that someone might really find useful and keep. And then lastly, thanking someone. So at the end of the day, even huge corporations, or I'm not talking entrepreneurs and small businesses, although we all do it and have been there, but even the huge companies will go into trade shows just for exposure, and that is their main objective. Yeah. And so we're trying to shake things up and say, well, really? Because if I was putting out that money, I would want to know this is exactly what came as a result. Yeah. So that's how we do things a little differently.
So Nikki, talk a little bit, if you could, around your brand and how you're building that to really differentiate.
Sure. So the world that we work in is very high tech. And I work with a great team. There's 6 of us, and we all really believe in that high touch, that personal touch, and the importance of really reaching out to people. So it's actually a really proud moment. Before I was coming down to the studio, one of my team members was sitting at his desk with a big smile on his face, and he was writing his personally handwritten notes to some of his clients. And those are all the things that I would do, like the personal notes and touching base and calling and checking in with people and the surprise and delight, thanking people for their business. Yeah. And here he is doing the same thing, kind of like carrying the torch, which is very cool. So I would say definitely that high touch point, even though we're in a high tech world.
That's a great point. And Vishal, how do you differentiate?
So when we started doing burritos, at that time, none of the burrito chains were delivering the burritos. As soon as we started doing burritos, we were sure that we're going to deliver those burritos. So in terms of competition, we are the only ones who deliver the burritos and any of our menu item. And we deliver up to 10 kilometers from our locations. So that means everybody is happy and everybody gets what they want to eat.
And you extend your market in a differentiated way, which is fantastic. So mentorship and mentors. I mean, it's something we hear so much, someone to sort of follow you, support you. What does your mentor do for you? And what would your advice be in terms of picking the right type of mentor?
I actually worked with a mentor that I'm working with now probably 8 years ago in my business. And I was a very different place at that time. And at that time, he served a really great purpose in helping me kind of gear up and get through. Actually, it was really a mindset issue for me. So I kept plateauing at a certain sales volume and realized I was not kicking through to the level I should be because it was all in my head. And so he helped me break through that mindset of my thing was, well, I'm just a small company working outside my house. I don't deserve to get those huge contracts. And he drilled it into me. Yeah, you do. If not you, then who? So for that mindset, it was great. And then as I started bringing on people, I realized this is so not my expertise. Leadership, it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. It's been one of the most rewarding. But I've really learned from him as well is real humble leadership. Like I'll say to my team, you know what? I don't know the answer, but I'm going to find out, right? So I think that definitely also being coachable as an entrepreneur because we're used to being in the driver's seat. We're used to making those calls, be open to, someone who's been doing it 50 years knows what they're doing.
They've seen a lot.
Yeah.
It might be different experience, but at least, you can absorb that. And I think it's such a great point in terms of plateauing around, you know what? Yeah, you're good. Like you can do this. You can take it to the next level. So Vishal, have you had a mentor or do you sort of look to somebody?
So for me, my mom is my inspiration, right? So she's my mentor too. So what we do is, because she has vast amount of experience in business industry, not just with restaurant, but even with some other stuff as well. So what we do is at the time of dinner, we all sit together, me, my mom, my sister, my wife, we all sit down, we are having dinner and we just casually talk about the business. What can we do differently? Where do we stand this week and stuff like that? And on basis of her experience, she just guides me a little bit here and there. And it's working for me. So basically, I don't have to find a mentor and I don't have to pay for the mentor.
You just have to bring burritos home for dinner. That's what you do. So speaking of that, how do you find a mentor? Nikki, where did you find yours?
Actually through networking.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I have mentored someone who came through a program similar to Prince's, who approached me and said, would you mentor me? And she was incredible. We would meet once a month and she would come with an agenda. And that's what I would do when I'm being mentored. Now I have a little more leeway because I pay for mine. But yeah, the amount of money you would save from, here's what to do and what not to do goes a long way.
Yeah. And you have yours at your kitchen table, which is very fortunate. So Prince, how about where do you advise? Do you have the services available? Do you bring people in?
That's a good question. We have a general pool of people that we do have as speakers, presenters. And if we see a good fit with somebody, we generally try to hook them up with that individual. That way, at least they can get a little bit of guidance in terms of how to start and the things to do in terms of, getting the business up and running.
Which is fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you talk about networking, and I think, we rely so heavily on social media to be able to connect. But in your own local communities, if your business is dependent on your local market, which so many small businesses are, where do you start? Vishal, do you have any recommendations?
So I would say look for any community event in the neighborhood where your business is going to be located and try to sponsor an event. Or if you don't have that much cash flow or you don't have that much reserves and you are just afraid to spend that much, just offer them a kind of a good gesture discount that, okay, being a part of a community, this is a community appreciation day. This is a 10% off or $5 burritos or $5 something, whatever you want to offer. You can offer that way. At least that will bring them in. You will get a chance to show them what exactly you are offering them and stuff like that. And that way you can create your own market in that small community.
That's great. Nikki, for you, what are your networks?
Yeah, so I would say definitely chambers, associations are awesome networks to go to. There's a lot of events that are even free. I'm a big believer in getting belly to belly with people, looking people in the eye, shaking their hand. I know social media is a huge component to our businesses today, but I think there's just something different about being able to meet someone in person and being able to connect. And so the one tip I would say is if people are going out and doing networking, put your cell phones away, be fully present in the moment, connect with people, don't pitch. Yeah. Don't pitch what you do. We've all gone to networking events and people spray their business cards and it's really off-putting. Yeah. So, but just connecting, if I'm going to a networking function and then there's 30 people, I meet one or two that I genuinely like, I'm good.
Yeah. Excellent. And what's your advice when individuals come into the center?
We have a lot of free events. So we offer these free events to entrepreneurs who are looking to get started. To build your network, it's best to meet with people that are like-minded, right? So these free events are great because there's no cost. Plus, you get to meet with the speaker as well as the people around you. And you build these connections and you develop these relationships. And somebody might end up being a good partner with you. So what I would recommend is go to any free events that you could find, especially when you're starting and you don't have the funding.
That's fantastic. Yeah. It's such an important element. Well, our discussion has been wonderful, and we've learned so much from our panelists and their experiences. But to wrap up our conversation, I thought I would ask each of the panelists to share a final tip in terms of how our aspiring entrepreneurs can turn their business idea into a reality so that they can make their someday happen. So Vishal, I'll start with you.
So I'll only say one short line. It is that fail to plan is planning for failure. So it's important to plan ahead of time and plan your business to be successful.
Excellent advice. Nikki?
I would say you are your business right now. So be authentically who you are. And you will repel some people, and that's okay. And you will pull in the right people to do business with. And when you own that authentic you, whether you have spiky hair or whether you wear a great suit or whether, you rock out cowboy boots because that's how you feel comfortable, it exudes that authenticity. And that's what people want to be around. So you are your brand. So don't pretend to be anyone else.
Fantastic. Thank you.
My advice would be challenge the status quo. So when you're running a business, take the risks that you have to. It's necessary because if you don't take these risks, your business will never grow. I know some people end up starting their business and staying at a simple level and just staying there and expecting their business to, go to the next level. But if you don't take these risks and actually try to go out there and network with people, build your relationships and actual business, then your business will always stay where it is. So take these risks and make sure any risk that you take, you'll also have a backup plan, a contingency plan for it as well.
Wow. Well said. Fantastic. Thank you.
This has been The Sound of Small Business, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. For more advice and stories of small business success, subscribe to the podcast in iTunes or search for The Sound of Small Business wherever you find podcasts. Our next episode will focus on managing the growth of your business. Are you looking for help turning your business idea into a reality? Futurepreneur Canada is a national nonprofit organization that provides mentoring, financing, and support tools to aspiring entrepreneurs and business owners aged 18 to 39. Visit futurepreneur.ca for more information. You can also visit rbc.com/buildingbusiness for advice and tips on how to start, manage, or grow your business. Thanks for listening. This podcast series is intended as general information only and is not to be relied upon as constituting legal or other professional advice. No endorsements of any third parties or their advice, opinions, information, products, or services is expressly given or implied by Royal Bank of Canada or any of its subsidiaries.